My name is Liu Manchoquera, and I am the local president of the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement right here in St. Petersburg, Florida. Yes. And I'd like to welcome you all to today's press conference. We are here today because Eretha Akile Canyon and Jesse Neville have just submitted their qualifying papers and are now officially in this race to win District 6 in this whole entire city. Yes, this is truly history in the making. Our first speaker today is a fierce organizer in the Black community and truly has a passion for her people. She wears many hats of leadership and is now about to add District 6 City Councilwoman to that list. So everyone, please join me in welcoming Eretha Akile Canyon, who is going to win District 6 City Councilwoman.
Good morning, and welcome to everyone out here. I first wanted to appreciate everybody out here today to celebrate this victory for us and all the media out here today. I really want to appreciate you and say that my name is Eretha Akile Canyon, and with this people's movement, I will be your next District 6 City Councilwoman. This is not only a historic moment for this campaign, but for this entire city, as myself and Jesse Neville, who is running for mayor, have officially submitted our papers to be qualified candidates to be on the ballot for District 6 and the mayor's office. And we was approved. So that means the reparations is on the ballot in this election. That means Black community self-determination is on the ballot on this election. That means workers' power and power to the people of the city and out of the hands of a corrupt city government. That is on the ballot this election. And with these platforms and this people's movement, the status quo doesn't stand a chance. The big developers, the bankers, the gentrifiers, the ones who puppet master all of the corrupt city government officials, they've all said that we can't win, that we don't have a chance. Even the corporate media has said that we cannot win. But on this day today, our qualifications represent a victory for the people of this city. We can win. We will win. We are winning. It is no secret that today we live in a divided city, and the most glaring example of that is District 6. It's a district that contains the richest sectors of the city's population and the most impoverished sectors of the city's population. Through the process of gentrification and gerrymandering this district under the current administration, under current City Councilman Carl Nurse, it's a district where downtown experiences rapid development, high-rises, condominiums, restaurants, a playground for the rich at the expense of the Black community and the rest of the neighborhoods throughout this city. That is a divided community. When you could ride just streets down into the Black community and see impoverishment and despair, that is a crime, that is a divided city, and we intend to unite this city with reparations as the foundation. We live in a city now where there is no means of economic development within the Black community. There are no real jobs, no resources, no affordable housing, no political or economic power. And these are deplorable conditions that are imposed on the Black community. But the people of this city do not want to live in a divided city. The people of this city and the people in the Black community are uniting with reparations to the Black community, because unity can only be accomplished by recognizing the social and economic injustice faced historically and today by the Black community. And we recognize that the only way to unite this city is with justice, and that justice is reparations to the Black community. So today we took a step towards a genuine future of prosperity for the entire city, no one living at the expense of anybody else. Today we took a step to right the historic wrongs made by this city government. Today, we took a step to truly be a progressive city. This is an exciting moment. I thank you all, our volunteers, our supporters who have been door to door, because that's going to win this war, meeting people face to face, joining this campaign, building this people's movement for power to the people of this city and not the corrupt city government. For the first time in the history of St. Pete, Radical Solutions is on the ballot for radical times. Thank you all so much. My name is Akile, and with the people's support, will be the next District 6 City Councilwoman. Thank you.
Please join me in welcoming the only candidate for mayor on the ballot for reparations to the Black community, Jesse Neville, running for mayor of St. Petersburg, Florida.
First of all, I want us to give another round of applause for the next City Councilwoman of District 6, Erica Akile, on her bold platform of radical solutions for radical times. It was almost 3 months ago when Erica Akile announced that she would be running for District 6. And just a few weeks later, when I, Jesse Neville, announced that I am running for mayor of St. Petersburg, Florida. I announced that I would be running on a platform called Unity Through Reparations. Unity Through Reparations is the rallying cry of a people's movement that has the optimistic vision of a city where the interests of the people come first. When we made that announcement, our opponent was Rick Kreisman. Now our opponent is Rick Kreisman and Rick Baker, but our opponent is still the same, which is the status quo. Our opponent is big money. Right now, we live in a city where the reign of big money dominates, where the interests of the wealthy, the elite, the real estate speculators, the John Katzimatiduses and their ilk prevail at the expense of the interests of the people, especially the Black community and the neighborhoods of this city. We believe that righting the historic wrongs and putting reparations and economic development in the center of our agenda will benefit and uplift the entire city. In the past 3 months, we've been hard at work. While the hardest work is still ahead of us, and we have less than 2 months before the mail-in ballots arrive in people's mailboxes and the voting actually begins, and then just a month after that, the primary election on August 29th. I am proud to say that in just a little bit over 6 weeks, we, the People's Movement, have already accomplished so much. What brought us to this point today of qualifying to be on the ballot was, first of all, that our volunteers, we got out into the streets of this city and we collected over 1,000 signatures to qualify me to be on the ballot on petitions. In fact, we got almost 2,000, but they kept throwing them out, so we kept going back out and getting more and bringing them back in. Beyond that, what we have already accomplished is we have rescued the word progressive from the clutches of cynical, pessimistic politicians who up until now have gotten away with cloaking their profit-making schemes in the language of progress. Because of this movement, because of Akile, because of Unity Through Reparations, we have shattered forever the ability for anyone to measure progress by the profit margins of the rich. Progress will not be measured by the success of predatory gentrification schemes that enrich real estate speculators like Carl Nurse at the expense of the Black community. Progress will not be measured by the millions of dollars poured into building a new police station or by the number of solar panels that they put on that police station. Progress will not be measured by anything you can tell me about a pier or the Tampa Bay Rays or anything else when nobody wants to talk about the elephant in the room. $1/10 billion of the city's budget spent on policing the Black community. While we see in this city the cost of rent is 54% the average income of Black families. We see abject poverty. We see that in the St. Petersburg schools, black children are 5 times as likely to be arrested as white children, pepper sprayed, harassed, attacked on a regular basis. In the past 3 months of knocking on doors, we have met thousands of people who want genuine progress. Who want real change, who want real unity. And unity begins with justice, and justice begins with reparations to the black community. And not only do the people of this city want change, we want to participate in making that change happen. And that's why we've said from the beginning that this is not a campaign, this is a movement. For once, we will have an election where the oppression of the black community will not be relegated to a sideline issue or a charity case for corrupt politicians to exploit as a cheap ploy to curry votes. For once, the interests and aspirations of the black community will be on the agenda and will be on the ballot. And for the first time in a St. Pete election, there will be a candidate who speaks for every white person who wants to stand in solidarity with the black community so that we can all fight back against what this system is doing. That candidate is me. So I want to quickly look towards the future. When we win this election, and we are confident that we will win because we are confident in the power of the people to win. When we win, reparations will be the top priority of the city's budget. Right now, the top priority is policing black people. We will turn that right side up. Reparations and economic development will be the top priority. The Tropicana field that they're debating where that land will be used and whether or not the Rays will stay in St. Pete, they can go. The Tropicana field needs to go back to the black community to build affordable housing and economic development. Reparations is what I think of everything. What do I think of the pier? Reparations. You can ask me any question and we will bring it back to that, because that is the fundamental issue that has to be resolved to solve every other problem that we face in this city. The people are fighting back, and we will, when we win, implement at least a 5-year moratorium on any more high-rises and skyscrapers being built in the city of St. Petersburg. Sorry, John Catsimatidis, but not sorry. And that ties into the next thing we will do. We will deal with the sewage crisis in a real way. In a real way. I know the two Ricks are going to throw sewage back and forth at each other and try to pin the blame. The blame is the system, and they work for the system. So we want to change the system. The people who work in the Water Resources Department, they knew there was going to be a sewage crisis if they shut down the Albert Whitted plant, and they warned the city, and they were ignored. So obviously the genius of how to run water resources and how to prevent sewage in our water lies not in the mayor's office, it lies in the workers. So we want to create workers' councils, workers' power. And we want to look into solutions like reopening Albert Whitted. But beyond that, someone needs to go to jail for the crime that was committed against the people of this city last year. And I know they just closed an investigation. We will reopen and begin a genuine criminal investigation into the Kreisman administration for what happened last summer. So these may sound like radical solutions, but they're only radical in the context of a system that was not created to serve the interests of the people. In a system where the interests of the people are put first, these are common sense solutions. So finally, thank you to the media for being here. I do have a quick word for you. It's good to see you. We've been out knocking on thousands of doors, and the people have been asking us, where is the coverage of this campaign? All I read about is the Battle of the Ricks, the two Ricks. And we have rallies every Sunday at 4 o'clock at Aquaba Hall. We have constant activity going on. Here's what you need to know. This election is not Rick versus Rick. This is the people versus the Ricks. That's what this is about. And trust me, we've talked to the people. People hate these guys. They hate the Ricks. Kreisman is Baker. Baker is Kreisman. The only difference between the Ricks is one of them has a mustache, and one of them marched in a parade and the other one didn't. Aside from that, it's gentrification, it's big money, it's mistreatment of workers, exploitation of workers. And in fact, when Kreisman ran in 2013, go back and look at the debates. He ran on the promise that he would be like Baker, and he kept that promise, much to the expense of the black community and much to the expense of the neighborhoods of this city. So you've got Kreisman, you've got Baker, the tent slasher, who sadistically ordered the St. Pete police to slash the tents of homeless people while they slept in the cold at night. You got to be out of your mind if you think people want 4 years of that, or 4 more years of splashing around in the sewage with Rick Kreisman. The two Ricks are not viable. The people's movement is viable. Akile for District 6 is viable. And if you're looking for a progressive, viable, revolutionary option on the ballot this August 29th, then today we filed the paperwork to officially say that you need look no further than Jesse Neville for mayor of St. Petersburg, Florida. Now, all that stands before us is just under 3 months of hard, energetic work, knocking on doors, meeting the people, and building this people's movement. But not only do we know that we can win, we know that we will win because we are winning. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I simply asked a question today. And the question is, what does it take to make a difference? The answer is, do something different. Today, with both of our candidates, Jesse Nevels for mayor, Aretha Akile Canyon for District 6, we have a chance, St. Petersburg, to do something different. If we do what we've always done, stick with what we've always done, nothing changes. But today, with both of these candidates, something different can happen for the city of St. Petersburg and District 6. Let's do this together. 11 years ago, I came to the city, became a part of Pinellas County and St. Petersburg. In 11 years, I've seen a few differences, but I haven't seen enough differences. I've been a part of groups where people have made commitments and promises that have failed. Today, we have a chance to do something different, to make a different choice, a different option, and to see something different occur in the city of St. Petersburg. Again, let's do it together with Jesse and with Akile Canyon.
Good morning, everyone. For any of you who don't know me, my name is Hakima Ukimbizi, and for the past about month, I've been campaigning with Jesse Neville and Akile Canyon because I believe in what they do. And me personally, I believe in what they do because since I've been to St. Pete, I've been in St. Pete for 10 months, going on to 11 now. And since I've been down here, Jesse Neville and Akile Canyon are the only candidates who I've ever seen actually be on the ground in the neighborhoods, talking to people and getting their campaign out there and truly being a campaign for the people. And as well as while I've been down here, I go to Gibbs High School and I'm a part of the Gibbs marching band. So I spend a lot of my time at the school and really get to see it as a whole. And through that, I see that the school is struggling. The school system is struggling. Because since I've moved down here, I have heard absolutely nothing good about the Pinellas County school system, nor have I experienced anything good from it. Some things maybe, but for the most part, nothing good. And not too long ago, Jesse Neville, he came to our school just on a random day. He came to Gibbs High School and he watched us practice for our graduation. And that is nothing I've ever seen any candidate ever do in my time seeing any kind of campaign ever. And as well as the fact that Aretha Akile Canyon used to go to Gibbs, as well as St. Pete Collegiate. So she's experienced firsthand the struggles that the youth faces, as well as the entire city. She's experienced these things, and Jesse Neville has been down to really see it for himself so he can know what we go through. And so because of those things, me personally, Hakima Ukimbizi, I support what they do because what they do is necessary for St. Pete to thrive. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nico, like it was said, and I also go to Gibbs High School. A reason I support these candidates is because never before have I even been a part of a campaign. I always thought elections and things of that nature were left to adults or people whose voice mattered. I knew that if I had anything to raise or something, I raised it to my parents or I'd go to school and tell it to a teacher, but the problem wouldn't necessarily be prioritized or highlighted much. And with my time being in this campaign, I've really had the problems that I face within Southside St. Pete answered, and I've had solutions for these problems. And when I go out campaigning with volunteers for the Keeley Canyon and Jesse Neville, I get to experience my questions being answered, and they have platforms which answer these needs, like genuine economic development for the Black community and reparations to the Black community. And I've just really been humbled to know that we have 2 candidates on the ballot this year that actually have their entire platform centered around the Black community, and it's never been done like that before. So if you're not supportive, you need to be supportive, for real.
Hello, everyone. I'm Giacomo. I'm 17 years old, and I'm a student at St. Petersburg College. I moved here from Brandon over 2 years ago, and while St. Pete is immensely better than Brandon, we still have a ways to go. I decided to get involved with this campaign because I want a better future for all residents of St. Petersburg, especially for young people like Eniko, Akima, and myself, who are more often than not, as they both pointed out, overlooked due to the fact that we don't have the ability to vote. We don't have a direct voice. I'm here because I know that when I leave to go home tonight, I'm going to be just fine. I know that I don't have to worry about an incident with the police. I don't have to worry about paying for school because my parents are supporting me. I understand that I don't have to face the realities that the South Side, that Black St. Pete has to face. I have security, safety, access to an education. I'm living this American illusion because this dream is not accessible to everyone. In contrast to my personal life, I don't have to go more than 3 miles from my house to witness the abject poverty of the South Side. Having acknowledged the conditions of the city in the history of St. Petersburg, how the Black community, formerly the Gaslight District, was torn apart for Tropicana Field, how repeatedly residents have been pushed out for big development projects. Recognizing that the pier, tourism, and gentrification are all coming at the expense of our fellow residents who are increasingly impoverished by these actions. Understanding that we have an over-policed population that is presented with very few opportunities, and they haven't received what we're all entitled to by our city government. Being aware that all of these actions are done for the benefit of investors, developers, and politicians, people like John Katzmatidis. If you have a heart and you care for your well-being and that of your fellow residents, no matter how young or seemingly small your voice is, upon understanding all of these conditions, how could you not support the only 2 candidates that have a comprehensive platform to address these deplorable circumstances? When you realize that the benefits that you enjoy are coming from the backs of others, there is but one choice: to answer the question of justice versus injustice. You must stand up and say that enough is enough. This election isn't a question of who's going to help Giacomo the most or who stands to win, as the establishment would like you to continue believing. And we've all seen how well that's worked. In these radical times, we are demanding radical solutions. We are uniting behind reparations, uniting for one St. Petersburg for all. Vote Akile and Jesse this August.
Hey, it is so exciting to be here on the steps of City Hall, because we are here to tell the sellout politicians that they cannot sell this City Hall to the highest bidders. They cannot sell it to the gentrifiers. They cannot sell out our children's future and our water and our lives and the black community's lives, we will not have it. We are the people, and we are taking back the City Hall. When we put in Jessie Neville as mayor of St. Petersburg and Akele Canyon as councilwoman of District 6, and they will take back the City Hall for all of us. I am the co-chair of the Pinellas County Green Party. And if people ask, well, why is the Green Party endorsing this historic campaign? Well, in so many ways, it's a no-brainer. We are the party of people and planet over profits. So it would only make sense that we're going to be behind a campaign that's all about people and planets over profits. And we are the Green Party, which means that how could we be behind anybody but the only two people who are prepared to take on the crisis of millions of gallons of sewage being dumped in our water through greed, through corruption. They could talk about climate change. Let me tell you something. I came to Florida 6 years ago. I had a lot of my family in Brooklyn. Some people might be able to tell from my voice that I'm from Brooklyn. Say, aren't you scared of the tropical storms and the hurricanes that you're going to get in Florida? So if people in Brooklyn knew the vulnerabilities that come with being in a place like Florida of tropical storms and hurricanes, I don't think Rick Kreisman has any excuse to say that he didn't know about it, especially when the workers of this city, told him that we were heading for disaster. And this disaster isn't over. We're in hurricane season again. So the Green Party needs to be behind the candidates that are going to clean up the environment. Yeah. But there is something else, something that is lesser known. The Green Party of the United States in our U.S. platform supports reparations. We support reparations. We are the fourth largest political party in the nation, and we are behind reparations to the black community 100%. But the problem is that while a lot of people know us as an environmentalist party, less people know that we are the party of reparations. And that is something that has to change because we have not made it front and center. We have not made it front and center the way we need to. So today I say the Pinellas County Green Party. We are leading the way, not just in Florida, but in this entire United States, to say the Green Party is the party of unity through reparations. We are the party behind reparations. We are going to pay our debt. And that's why the Green Party is prepared to knock on every door and call every registered voter in St. Petersburg, and we are going to put Jessie Neville and Akele Canyon in this city hall, and we are taking it back. We are taking it back to the people. Thank you very much.
Wopila, pila mayelo, ichante lilo ashteyelo. It does my heart good to stand here today. You know, when we talk about insanity, people say that insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. In the United States, in the electoral process, we keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. We vote for the lesser of two evils, or the evil of two lessers, whichever way you want to call that. No matter which way you do it, only 48% of Americans vote, and the reason is they know the whole process is BS. It's a lie, just like most of America is a lie. We have a chance with this election here in St. Petersburg to vote for people that aren't a lie, to vote for people that are going to represent people. For too long, the people that run for elections in this country are not answerable or accountable to the people. They lie to you. They tell you pandering things. You vote for them, and they do things that you don't want. Why? Because they're owned by the corporations, whether it's the banks downtown or whoever. These people, Jessie Neville and Akele, they're not owned by anybody. They're accountable to you, the people. They're going to represent you, the people. When they talk about reparations, Don't be scared. It's another word for justice, which is a reality in this country that we need. When they talk about the divisions in this country, what they're really talking about is injustice. They couch it in all kinds of other words because they lie to you. And they constantly are lying to you. They create this illusion about freedom and you buy it. But it's not real. We have to look at reality. Reality is America was made on stolen land with stolen people doing stolen work that they never got paid for. And if we want to have truth and justice in the United States, then you have to deal with those issues. And these candidates are the first candidates I've seen in an electoral process that have the courage to out front tell you we're dealing with justice. It's a hard issue. Face it, deal with it. You should welcome that. Whether you agree with them or not, you should welcome that. I happen to agree with them, but if you don't, you still should welcome it because they're being honest with you. And that's the kind of thing that you should be voting for, is the honesty, truth. You know, they say in America you're all about truth and justice. Well, that's what these guys are, right? The other candidates, they've never had candidates in America that were actually about truth and justice in its entire history. And here you have them. So if you believe in this truth and justice thing, like you say you do, then you have to vote for these guys, because that's what they're about.
My name is Muteba Shinabuamunda. I have been called an LGBT activist and community organizer here in St. Petersburg, Florida. But I say so-called usually because I have a very serious struggle with the assumption that there is even a such thing as an LGBT community, generally speaking. As I understand it, here we have so-called neighborhoods of Central Avenue in downtown St. Petersburg, where the sun shines on white gay lovers walking hand in hand past bars, cafes, and boutiques, enjoying the advantages of business ownership and city-sponsored development, funded health clinics, and fully furnished condos, and all the fruits associated with the wealth of paradise. Then there is the LGBT-identified black people, like on the south side of St. Pete, in District 6, who, as part and parcel of a historically black community, has continued to suffer from the failed policies of police containment of the black community, mass incarceration, unemployment, economic underdevelopment, an imposed endemic of often undiagnosed, preventable, treatable HIV and AIDS infections, and the homelessness and displacement caused by land grab and gentrification. I am one of several trans and same-gender loving residents of St. Petersburg that has come out to publicly endorse Eretha Akile Canyon for District 6 City Council, and Jesse Neville for Mayor of St. Petersburg. Because Eretha Akile Canyon and Jesse Neville are the only candidates for local office I've ever heard of that are bold enough to say that just as there are two Americas, there are indeed two St. Petersburg. One existing atop the social and economic pedestal of the oppression of the other. They are the only candidates to acknowledge this reality. And beyond acknowledgement, Eretha Akile Canyon is the only candidate for District 6 City Council courageous enough to demand radical solutions for these radical times. And Jesse Neville is the only mayoral candidate in the race honest enough to say that the most principled and progressive way forward for St. Petersburg is unity through reparations to the black community. I had the honor of participating on a panel discussion hosted by the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement the other week that addressed this year's St. Petersburg city elections, and had the opportunity to raise with these two candidates some of the various contradictions that impact the lives and well-being of black LGBTQ identified residents of St. Pete. And what I appreciated most about that particular forum was, unlike the reactionary and toothless initiatives put forth by the administrations of both Rick Kreisman and Rick Baker, And despite the corporate interest of developers and real estate speculators that line the pockets of both groups, as well as the current District 6 Councilman Carl Nose, the platforms of both Eartha and Jesse require the acquisition of actual political power in the hands of the most underserved people of St. Petersburg. Not some mythical sanctuary city or simply state-controlled social services, but the actual power in the hands of the people ourselves. I can say without hesitation that it is the responsibility of every freedom-loving, democracy-loving, social justice-loving, so-called progressive in St. Pete to vote for Eartha Keeley Canyon for District 6 City Council and vote Jesse Neville for mayor. And if you can't vote, support these campaigns, contribute resources, volunteer with these campaigns organizing committee, help us build this social movement that is not only changing the face of the electoral system in St. Petersburg, Florida, but the way that marginalized and oppressed communities engage in the electoral process and the struggle for self-determination all over this country. We are winning, we will win. Uhuru.